So today, guys, I'm going to be telling you how I went from a normal, uneducated person that was in college, really having no idea why, just because society told me to go, to now making $30,000 plus in a single month. Growing up, I was just like, I guess, anybody else. I didn't really want money. I didn't really want success, if you want to call it that. I just wanted to, growing up, wanted to go to college after high school, wanted to get a job, get a good job, have a family, and just really be happy. Really had no plans of being wealthy or anything like that per se. But it all changed in college. And this is why I don't have anything against college, because me going to college actually is what changed my perspective on my whole life. You see, I met one of my first mentors. His name was Evan, and he invited me to a meeting. I ended up going, and for some reason, I loved it. Everything that they were talking about in the presentation and having that financial freedom to do what you want whenever you want, that really attracted me. So I ended up getting started with him in that business. And that literally started my personal development endeavor. Once I got started with him in the business, I would constantly at his house. We were listening to people like Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor. And I remember specifically Bob Proctor once, he was watching a seminar. It was a 10-hour seminar, and he was like 6 hours into it. And I asked him, what was all that about? And he's like, oh, you wouldn't get it. And it really intrigued me. So literally that night I went home and I started just watching this 10-hour seminar. Growing up, I was always a video gamer. So once I got a taste of that personal development and just, enriching my mind and making myself a better person all around, I was hooked. I literally stopped playing video games for a couple of months straight, just spending all my nights when I wasn't working or going to school, just consuming these videos from people like I mentioned, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor. These are the people that I studied originally. And, I was going to school. I was working at one point 2 jobs. And like I said, I didn't know where it would lead me to. And I continued attending events, learning about sales and marketing techniques. And that actually led me to my first sales job. I was doing door to door. I absolutely hated that. And I remember I just eventually quit. My parents, they didn't kick me out, but my parents left me and told me that I have to pay rent in the house that they left and moved to a different one. I didn't come from a wealthy family. I would say I don't come from a poor family. Like, I had a house. I wasn't well off, but I wasn't poor or anything like that. I have no idea where this bug came from, because there's nobody in my family who's actually wealthy, that's worth multiple millions of dollars. And I'm not saying that I am yet, but hopefully along this journey, I can share with you how I'm, coming from really nothing to my goal is to be financially free by the age of 25, which for me, what financially free means is just being able to essentially live your life without having to work, right? So essentially you'll be making enough from your passive income, which is money that you don't even work for, enough to pay all your bills and then some, right? So that's the goal for me. So going back to my story, I got the door-to-door job. After I left that, I went back into the food industry because, when I was under 18, I was working at, my first job was Chick-fil-A, then I worked at this sandwich shop. When I was working at Chick-fil-A, I got this knack to want to serve and be a server. So literally as soon as I turned 18, I went to go apply to be a server because I just liked the hospitality and helping other people and just, chatting and being friendly with other people. So I worked as a server. And then that place got shut down, I got fired, and that's what led me to the door-to-door. I left the door-to-door, and then I went back into the service industry, and I ended up getting a call from a family friend of ours who owned a business. Now, I will say, yes, I got lucky there. My family did have some contacts, and I was always trying to pitch this guy. He told me the reason that he hired me and that he called me was because when I was in the network marketing company, one of those companies, I was always trying to recruit him. And so he's like, you know what, Liam, you have a lot of courage and I like your tenacity. And so he ended up hiring me as a sales guy. And then instantly I became the top producer there. My best month there, I literally made $17,000 as a 20-year-old. Not bad for a guy with no degree. So I spent about a year and a half there, making anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, I would say. It was basically a six-figure job. Ended up bringing one of my best friends. His name was Cass. He ended up making six figures with me. He also has no degree. I convinced him to drop out of college as well. And then I really took a big leap of faith. And when I say big leap of faith, I mean big. Like, this is gonna blow your socks off. Listen to this. Through a couple of business conferences, I met some people who were really making the type of income that I was looking to make. I went to this business conference in Miami from Orlando. And by the time I got back, it was a Sunday. And literally the next day, someone hit me up from the business conference and basically asked if I wanted a job over there because I knew they were making north of $30,000 per month. I booked my flight on Monday night, and guess when it was leaving? 2 days later, on that same Wednesday. And not just any type of flight, it was a one-way ticket. And because I had no clue how this was going to end or what was going to happen. At that work schedule, I had Thursdays off. So my plan was to leave on Wednesday, check it out Thursday, and if it didn't feel right, come back and just resume my life. But went out and loved it, got hired the same day. I mean, come on, if a guy shows up who took a one-way ticket, you're not gonna say, come back tomorrow or something. You probably think that just because I took that flight to LA, where people were making $30,000 a month, that's all she wrote, and that's where the story ends and up to this point. Well, guess what? You would be dead freaking wrong. Imagine this. I went from making six figures a year living in Florida. Now, you probably know the cost of living in Florida is pretty inexpensive compared to California. So my rent and my expenses basically doubled, and my income probably got cut into a single third or at least in half. And I just couldn't quit. And look, trust me, I'm the type of person who takes responsibility for everything. I always try to put fault on myself, but I think there was maybe some room to play in there. I ended up getting fired from the job that I dropped my whole life for. Imagine dropping out of college, having no clue what you're gonna do, then to going to making six figures a year just to leave that job, take a fat leap of faith for a job that you thought was going to make you multiple six figures to help you achieve your goal of becoming financially free by 25, just to fall flat on your face and get fired. Just through all the networking that I have done up to that point and all the contacts that I had, I knew that there would not be a problem with me finding another very well-paying job. When I moved to California originally, I had over $15,000 in savings as a 21-year-old kid. I drained my savings. I went into about $10,000 worth of credit card debt and just debt in general, trying to stay afloat. Now, you imagine yourself in that situation. What the heck would you have done? And so after getting fired, I hit up somebody that I had connected with at the previous job that I got fired from, and found out that he found another spot. Having people in your contacts and having a big network is so important to your success. I'm sure you've heard that saying, your network is your net worth. Don't worry if you don't have a network. You already do, whether you know it or not. But I'm going to show you how I built my network so that you can do the same. And that's going to be in a future video. So I ended up calling a buddy of mine, former coworker of mine, because I really loved working with him. We worked really well. And I've been here about 2 months now. And within 2 months, I made about $40,000 with about another $50,000 to $70,000 in incoming commission next month in January. If anything about my story looks familiar at all, hopefully this video will inspire you not to give up. So if this inspired you at all, be sure to smash that like button. And be sure to follow this channel so that I can share with you my journey, because a lot of the YouTubers that we see, especially when it relates to success, they've already achieved quote unquote success and financial freedom. So now while I'm ahead of, I guess, most people my age, I'm not at the peak or already financially free. So hopefully you can follow me along and maybe learn a thing or two and maybe learn from my mistakes. If you made it this far, I want to thank you just so much. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, because you are truly somebody who I feel is looking to change your life. Be sure to share this with your friend who may be sharing that same experience. So with that being said, guys, I'm out of here.